Remember this?
Oh, my God.
But now our country has voted decisively for change, for national renewal and a return of politics to public service.
And suddenly, for once, for the first time in many of our lives, actually Britain looks like a little haven of peace and stability, and that in itself is going to draw money into this country.
But in just over 1 year, this Labour government have lurched from one crisis to another. The Prime Minister promised a break from Sleaze, but within weeks of coming into power, his government was caught up in Freebiegate. He was eventually forced to pay back over £6,000 worth of gifts that he'd received from wealthy donors. Then the Transport Secretary, Louise Haigh, it turned out that she'd previously been convicted of fraud. She had to go. Then it was the turn of former Anti-Corruption Minister Tulip Siddiq, who resigned over a corruption scandal. Are you still with me? Right. Next up, we have the Runcorn Rocky, the Helsby Razor and Iron Mike Amesby.
Okay. You won't ever threaten me again, will you? Ever threaten me again, will you? Leave it.
Yes, former Labour MP Mike Amesby was chucked out of the party and received a prison sentence for punching a constituent to the ground. He was caught on camera. In May, Lucy Powell, who lost her job in government today, was forced to apologise after this shocking moment.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over
No,
this.
we want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah, OK.
There was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah.
And let's not forget Homelessness Minister Rushana Ali, who resigned after evicting her tenants before quickly listing her property again at a much higher rate, breaching the terms of Labour's incoming Renters' Rights Bill. Right, fast forward to the start of this week and the return of Parliament after the summer holidays. The Prime Minister was doing his level best to reboot his government.
Summer's definitely over, and this morning we've got all the Number 10 staff together and talked through what phase 2 of the government is going to look like and feel like. So we go into phase 2, 1st of September 2025, in good spirits, confident and with conviction about what we're doing.
And how's that going?
We can confirm Angela Rayner has resigned from the government. This comes moments after the Prime Minister received this report from Sir Laurie Magnus. He's the independent advisor on ethics.
So the big question tonight, can the Prime Minister survive these scandals? Is this government on the brink of collapse?
As a journalist, I always need to remember more in less time. And you know what I really hate? Taking notes. It wastes loads of time and you forget stuff. And that's where Plord comes in. This is the Plord Note, a sleek, pro-level AI note-taker that records and creates notes for you. Whether you're listening to a long podcast, stuck in a meeting, or on an important call, Plord captures everything at the tap of a button. Then it gives you a smart, structured summary with all of the key takeaways. It even recognises different speakers by their voice, and you can choose from bullet points, to-do lists, or even mind maps. Your data's safe too, with end-to-end encryption and global privacy compliance. And with Plord's built-in AI, you can search everything you've ever recorded just by asking a question. It's slim, magnetic, under 30 grams, lasts up to 60 days on standby, and over 1 million people are already using it. Hit the link in the description and use code GB10 for £10 off your Plord order. Save hours of time and never miss a detail again. Link in the description below.
Well, I'm joined now by my panel, Labour MP Barry Gardner, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, also former Tory MP Alexander... Stafford, yes. And also political commentator and activist Adam Brooks. I'm just giving everyone new names. So look, seriously, is this government, do you think they're on the brink?
Definitely. I'm amazed if Keir Starmer will survive the year. I think he goes from one scandal to another scandal to another scandal. And most of these scandals aren't things happening to him or things national politics or international politics. They are internal battles of the Labour Party, mess things up again and again and again and again and looking dodgy. And clearly Keir Starmer doesn't have control over his own ranks. We saw this week, trying to reboot reboot. And what was the reboot? More scandal, more resignations, having to bring a reshuffle forward. No one can run a party like this. But eventually you've got to run out of people. There's only so many times you put David Lammy into a new position to keep things going. They've got no one left on their ranks. Something has to change.
Look, his own personal ratings are some of the lowest of a sitting Prime Minister ever. I mean, Keir Starmer, for me, is one of the most unlikable and relatable people I've ever seen in politics. Labour are tanking in the polls. In some polls, if you add up Labour and Conservative, they're around the reform mark. They are getting annihilated. The uniparty is over in this country. And look, I would say we're only a couple of scandals away from this government collapsing, and the way it's going, I can see these scandals coming out in the next year or two.
What do you think, Barry Gardner? Is he being a bit...
Well, listen, if you believe what Adam and Alex say, I might be back in government in a few months. No, look, we need to apologise to the British public for all the scandals, all the things that have gone wrong. You know, ministers have had to resign because things have gone wrong, and they are responsible for them. And that's absolutely right. So I think an apology is due. Whether we're going to have a general election in 2027, as Nigel Farage is saying, I think is entirely another matter.
But Barry, you promised to clean up politics.
Exactly, and that's the point. And that's the point, Adam. We came in looking at what the Tories had done, looking at the way you, the public, had said, we're sick fed up of that lot,
and then
we want rid of them. And then, over the past year, we've had scandals of our own.
But the difference is the Tories were in power for 14 years, and at the end of it, yes, we lost trust in the public. Things were going wrong, but it took up to 14 years to get that. This all started within a few weeks or months of Labour coming in, and it's continued.
You've done it in a year. How have you managed?
Well, you've done 1 year, it took 14 years. I mean, in some ways, that's an achievement.
It's like an episode of EastEnders. There's so much going on.
I didn't think that you could out-Sleaze the Tories, but I've been proven wrong. I mean, as soon as they came in, it was straight away the whole Lord Ali saga, and it just kept rumbling on and on and on. We found out the amount of freebies Keir Starmer had was actually double what we originally thought, and it just kept going. And I mean, that whole list of scandals, the brilliant compilation you put together there, Nana. But half of those I'd actually forgotten about because I just can't keep track. I'd forgotten about the Louise Haigh phone scandal and punching a constituent. Mike Haysbee. It's so all happened so fast in 1 year.
But the thing about all this is not just some of these scandals happened in the past and come to light now. Labour are making more and more scandals. The Mike Haysbee stuff was a new scandal. The Angela Rayner was a new scandal. So they're keeping making more and more and more scandals.
Well, look, I just want to remind everybody as to who kind of assisted this government in getting into power. And I just want to play you that clip of when Labour came into power, how everything was going to change and how pleased the legacy, the traditional media were when they heard it. Just have a listen and look at this.
Oh my God.
And they're leading the charge. Look, I think we've got a question in the audience somewhere. Yes.
Hi, Sarah here.
Hello, Sarah.
Do you think that the Labour started their campaign with one clear agenda? A, to get the people on side, and B, to sink Britain to get us back into the EU, to just dissolve Brexit? They had this agenda from the offset.
Yeah. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I don't know what Labour's agenda was. The problem, I think, with Labour's got is they came into power on the backs of people getting really annoyed with the Conservatives, with no clear policy, no clear ideas, and no clearly unifying vision that brought the Labour Party together. They came on the backs because the Conservative Party lost trust of the public. And what do they stand for? They stand for nothing, and now they're just falling apart. So they have no agenda of any sort, I don't think.
Well, just to confirm, that was Kay Burley, actually, from Sky News. Barry Gardner.
No, I don't think the agenda was to go back into the EU, and it's not. That's not what we're planning to do. It's not what government wants to do. Genuinely, I honestly don't think so. Keir Starmer is an ardent, he was an ardent Remainer, but he's not now trying to get us back into the EU.
He tried to get us to have another referendum, Barry.
Yeah, he did, and that was, I think, a big mistake in the end. Look, I was a Remainer, but after the referendum took place, I said, OK, the people have spoken. Democracy trumps my concerns about the economy. And the economy's lost 4% as a result of leaving the EU. But, you know, that's the will of the people, and you have to respect it. So I don't think there's any agenda to get us back in there. I think that's scaremongering or, you know... but I do think that the criticism that Alex made is it's not clear to the public what the Labour agenda really is.
Because there isn't one, is there?
Well, no, I think, you see, I could create a narrative around that agenda about growth in the economy, about housing, about building the skills base, building a future. And, of course, for me, Adam would you know, be appalled, because it would be about a green economy, it would be about all the renewable economy and the way in which the world is ultimately going in that direction, and we need to be at the forefront of it. It would also be in biotech. It would also be in AI. These are areas where Britain can have strategic advantages, and that's what I would like to see. But I don't think it's the vision that you rightly talk about that is being articulated at the moment.
Okay, Barry,
and that's the leadership that need to do it.
Look, Barry, even if it isn't the case that it's part of their agenda to try and bring us back into the EU, it has a massive effect on their decision-making. So, for example, as part of these EU reset talks, the way that these Ramona, shall I say, politicians have approached it is they're just very pragmatic, because they don't understand why people voted for Brexit. They don't understand that we don't want to be told what to do by leaders that we haven't even elected. So they looked at food and they thought, OK, we'll just say that we'll take all the rules from the EU on food standards, and we can see on our spreadsheet that will boost the economy by X billion a year, so happy days, let's do it. They don't understand the point of Brexit, because it's just a cabinet full of Remainers. I really think you need some Brexiteers, not all Brexiteers, but some Brexiteers in there to hold them to account and say, no, that's not a good idea, because that's going to infuriate the British public who voted almost a decade ago to not take rules from people they haven't elected.
I mean, the interesting thing is that actually the people who set most of the rules in the EU were the British politicians. It was the British civil servants and the British... In fact, I tell you who set the Birds and Habitats Directive. It was Boris Johnson's father. He wrote the Birds and Habitats Directive. You know, so it's not as if we weren't actually in there creating those rules.
That's not the point.
That we then... Yeah, but the point is democracy spoke, and we, the politicians, have to...
I'm going to take it